blast off and strike the evil Bido Empire. If those words mean anything to you, then you've clearly experienced one of the greatest side-scrolling space shooters of all time. R-Type is a legendary game, and with good reason. Created by Irem and hurled into the arcades in 1987, it quickly became a huge success due to its brilliant artistic design and unforgiving yet addictive gameplay. It has kicked the shit out of me many times over the years, and yet I just keep coming back for more. Don't know what it is, but it's like the game has some kind of hold over me. In each and every form that I have encountered it in, I've felt compelled to keep playing regardless of how much punishment it dishes out. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the versions that I've played personally. I've recently collected most of them again and decided to have another good crack at playing them. This is R-Type, brutal and brilliant. We begin with the first version I got my hands on, the mighty PC Engine port. I was lucky enough to have a PC Engine for a while as a kid due to my brother getting one through his friend that somehow managed to import it. Here is when I first came across this. We only ever had the first U card from what I remember, which only contains the first half of the game. Today though, I hold both of them, the complete game in my hands at last. Never knew that there was more than one card at the time, mind, as I never got past level 4. Hell, I couldn't even get to level 4 consistently, only ever managing to see it a few times. I just assumed the 1 on the case and card meant it was R-Type 1, and that a sequel must have existed out there somewhere. No matter how insane the game drove me though, I would repeatedly pop that fucker in the console and take more punishment. The game starts off misleadingly generic enough in regards to 80s space shooters. You're in space, robots or what looks like robots are trying to kill you, everything appears to have a general mechanical look, but then the first thing that stands out as unique is when you land the force power up. You can shove this thing on the front or back of the ship or shoot it off and have it act independently. You trundle through the level, which pretty much gives you a crash course in all you need to get used to the mechanics and throws a variety of weapon power-ups your way so that you can get a feel for them. I also started to notice in this level that enemy, checkpoint and power-up placements are very deliberate. Things have clearly been meticulously planned out here. And then, getting through to the end of the space station, the music changes and... holy shit! The Dobkeratops is glaring down at you, looking like something out of Alien, complete with a stomach-bursting creature, and all tied up by eyeballs. What a sight to behold, and probably the most iconic image from the game. If you look at any of the game cases or any advertisements from back then, you'll see this son of a bitch everywhere. Anyway, it was at this point I realised that the game isn't fucking around, and then it gets even more terrifying. If you destroy the eyeballs, the big bastard starts advancing towards you. Can't describe how panic-inducing this was for the child version of me when it first happened. Once he's eventually murdered, you trundle into stage 2 and... holy fucking spunk crackers! This looks like hell, like literal space hell. It's the kind of place I like to imagine the Event Horizon ended up in. Big glass capsules with like brains or something in them are around and the background looks almost alive. Fuck knows what is at the top and bottom of the screen, like discarded sinewy alien creatures, and then these buggers start flying out of it at you. This is awesome, so dark and twisted, and it gives you a real sense of the threat that this game has in store for you. Between the Dobkeratops and this stage, I fell completely in love with the artistic style. The boss in this level is also 50 shades of fucked up. Look at it, can't even tell what the hell it's supposed to be, some kind of fleshy, incomprehensible horror. I love it. Following this, stage 3 is just one big boss fight against some massive ass warship that is here to teach you how important your ship positioning really is if you want to have any hope of survival. And the only way to fully destroy it is to kill the protruding thing near the top. I've heard the phrase phallic imagery many times before, but let's not be pretentious, we're talking about dicks. And that's exactly what this is, a dick. Look at it, it's a dick. Anyway, these 3 levels is where I spent the majority of my time on this version, as this, more often than not, is where I would run out of lives and continues. On very rare occasions I'd make it to stage 4, remember how I talked about ship placement? Well, you want to be damn careful with it here or else these bloody green dots will be the end of you, as they were for me numerous times, along with these little bastards that shit them out. Although this may not quite have the amazing dark and twisted style of something like Stage 2, it makes up for it in deliberate, brutal design. It's hell alright, just in a different way. But not impossible it seems. Come on, come on! Yes! Take that you fucking bastard! It may have taken me decades, but at long last I've finally beaten this cunt of a level. Now we get treated to something unique to this version. A nice little cutscene plays where the R9 docks and takes a breather. God knows it is well deserved after all that chaos. And you're presented with a nice code as a reward to take into the second card that retains the power-ups acquired, lives and your current score. To use it, you must hold select and press run at the title screen of the second card, then you can enter it here and voila! Now I'm armed and ready to take on stage 5 with its cool looking atmosphere and awesome black and red colour scheme. Until I lose a life and with it, every sodding power-up. Bollocks. Anyway, at the end of this rather taxing level that has these yellow pricks exploding all over the place, you're greeted by this horrible mess of, well, I don't know what it is. Looks like there is some kind of machine underneath it all though, so that must be our target. Not that I can beat the little shit, this is where I have come unstuck and decided to give up. Oh well, at least I've gotten one level further this time around. Perhaps someday I'll return and manage to get my revenge, but for now, I'm calling it. As it stands, this is my all-time favourite version. I've never played the arcade machine sadly, but from what I've seen and read over time, this port seems to be the closest to its experience that was available at home during the time. There is another one which is arguably a damn near perfect recreation. It was released later down the line for the PlayStation. I did own it once upon a time, but sadly not currently. R-Types is both R-Type 1 and 2 in a neat little package. It was my first time ever playing R-Type 2, which is shorter but so insanely hard that it makes R-Type 1 seem like a day with the Care Bears, rather than this which is comparable to a maniacal coke-fueled night out with Zippy. So apparently this isn't actually the arcade being emulated or anything, instead it is built from scratch after some reverse engineering of the original code. That in itself is damn impressive because as you can clearly see, this looks the part. From what I remember, it played pretty well too. I managed to see the ending on this one, but only through cheating. Can't honestly remember how far I got without cheats, but I think it was either stage 3 or 4. It also has an art museum feature that contains all sorts of artwork and such, which is cool. Definitely worth having a look at this version if you ever have the means. Back to the earlier days though, and my friend let me borrow the Sega Master System port, so this became the second version that I played. And man is this impressive. It plays really well considering what the limitations of the Master System are. Now there are obvious issues that may be off-putting for some. You can quite clearly see here that the sprite flicker is rampant, like all over the place, especially when you're constantly firing whilst a decent amount of enemies and projectiles are on screen. As I would see sprite flicker quite a lot in Master System games at the time, it wasn't and still isn't something that bothers me too much. The only other issue is it does slow down and chug along a bit at times, when as before, lots of stuff is happening on screen. But again, I don't mind it. If anything, it makes things a bit easier as you can see some stuff coming slowly and have a bit more time to react. It is kind of easier overall to be honest. The ship sprite and most enemies are smaller than other versions, so you have more screen space to manoeuvre around, making positioning more forgiving. Plus I'm playing the UK PAL version that runs at 50Hz rather than the 60Hz of the NTSC regions, which probably also helps a lot. Something else that helps is the little cheat that gives you an extra 12 continues. When you run out of lives and the countdown is on screen, rotate the D-pad clockwise repeatedly to add more continues. Once you've added another 12, it doesn't work anymore, but if you don't manage to get all 12 in one go, you can get the rest the next time you see the screen, which is nice. But when you lose a life, all of your power-ups bugger off, so ideally you want to make it as far as possible without relying on continues. The cheat is handy to practice on the section you're currently stuck in and learn the patterns though, which has been its primary use for me. It by no means makes the game easy. Easier, but it's still a rough ride because it is R-Type at the end of the day. One thing I've seen that happens a lot is the force getting stuck in things. Normally it can't get into places like this in other ports. This can work both for or against you depending on the situation. Something that is very impressive about this version is that all the levels are present here, with nothing omitted. In fact, they added an extra secret stage that's pretty well hidden up here in stage 4. I love the design of this one again too, one of those nightmarish hell places with freaky creatures. Be warned though, you only get one attempt per playthrough at this. Die in here and you're respawned at the stage 4 checkpoint, and if you try to enter it again, you die. Complete the secret stage though and you skip straight to stage 5. Sweet. The bosses are nicely detailed. I think it's doing the same thing that Wonder Boy 3 The Dragon's Trap does and uses the background layer to display them rather than the sprite layer. I believe this provides access to a wider colour palette so that more detail can be added. Because of this, you'll see the screen go fully black before they appear, but I kinda like it. It's pretty atmospheric, which is a cool side effect. It does you a favour on stage 3 too, as you now have less to crash into when the big old ship is displayed on this layer, removing the stuff from the top and bottom of the screen. If this was the only means you had to play the game at the time, it certainly isn't a bad way to experience it at all. A brilliant conversion, probably one that was considered impossible to create, but it happened anyway. And speaking of things that shouldn't be possible, I absolutely have to talk about this phenomenal ZX Spectrum port by Bob Pate. An absolute technical marvel and held in high regard by many for good reason. This is the third port of the game that I played. It's 48K only and requires loading between each level, but that doesn't take anything away from it. It may be kinda odd that I played this after the Master System version rather than before, but man, I was not disappointed in it at all. This is an astounding port for the hardware. It uses colour brilliantly and plays really well, running at an impressive speed. One thing that does stand out is the lack of music, but as mentioned before, it is 48K and to be honest, looking at what has already been achieved here, it'd be asking too much. The music that you're hearing right now is from the Amstrad CPC version, which I've never played but I figured it'd be kinda fitting. I'm really shite at this version though, I just find it absurdly difficult and I'm fairly certain it is due to one reason alone. As it has done such a great job keeping very detailed sprites, well, high levels of detail in everything, this obviously demands more pixels. Which means there are less pixels to go around elsewhere. Basically, there isn't much free screen space to position yourself in. Because of this, the room for error is so damn tiny that unless you have the reactions of Jackie Chan on speed, you're fucked. Comparing it here to the Master System version, which is the opposite with its generous screen space, you can see for yourself how big the difference is. I've been desperately trying to get as far as I can playing this on my actual Plus 2A, which means I've been using the keyboard, but I just ain't skilled enough. I get relentlessly battered in Stage 2, hell I can't even get through Stage 1 without losing a life. Not that I fared much better using a controller via emulation in the past either, if luck was ever on my side at all, I'd get to Stage 3 at best. The playthrough video that I have on the channel was done by cheating my arse off using RZX rollback. One thing I will say is that it does give you a lot more lives compared to other ports, so there is definitely some consideration for balancing the game out. But yeah, it is the version that I struggle with the most. Not that I'm shitting on it though. It's beyond amazing that this is on the Speccy at all, looking and playing this good too. I stand by saying that this is a fantastic conversion and should be admired. I'll still have the odd go at it in the future I imagine, as I just love seeing it in all that specky glory, and then swiftly get my arse handed to me. With everything said though, not a single one of these ports is bad. Not one. The game has been well represented regardless of which platform I've played it on. I've never been disappointed. And this is about where I would end it, but there is something else special that I just have to talk about. Some utter genius called the Roboz has been working on a Mega Drive port. It's being created from scratch. This is awesome considering that the Mega Drive never actually got an official port. This is Mega R-Type, more specifically the most recent demo of it, version 1.3. Holy fucking shit, this is incredible! Been playing it via emulator and it has blown my balls off. It comes with nice features, like a choice of a classic or new Mega soundtrack, both of which kick ass. You can also choose to use the ship from R-Type Leo, which means no force, but hey, it spices things up a bit. Just to say, I've never actually played R-Type Leo, so this is a little bit lost on me, but whatever, it's a cool addition. The demo contains 4 stages, the iconic first stage, complete with the Dobkeratops himself, the secret stage from the Master System port, which with its graphical overhaul looks bloody brilliant. Stage 6 with those giant fucking green things whizzing around, though I think the stage might be shortened as I got through it quickly enough, to find a whole new boss at the end of it. Pretty sure that this arsehole hasn't shown up in any other version that I know of. The collision detection looks to be unfinished though, as I can just plonk myself here and wreck him easily enough. Hey, it's a demo after all, it's understandable. And finally, Stage 8 that hurls green fetus baby things all over the place, which also may well be shortened too, as once again, it didn't take too long and I didn't struggle too much. Overall, I found this version generally easier than any other, probably due to it being a demo. It has easy and hard difficulty settings, but I never died more than once on either. I still went in with the generous Infinite Lies option for a few playthroughs though, as the game has put the fear of God in me over the years. I really hope this gets put on an actual Mega Drive cartridge when it's finished. I'd buy it in a heartbeat. Would love to play this on my console. Been a fun journey this one. It has certainly pushed me to the limits of my sanity at times, mind. That's kind of the point of R-Type though. It wants you to learn and get better, even if that means viciously testing your patience to the utter limits. It's a tough but rewarding experience. I don't think I'll ever tire of coming back and receiving more beatings in the future. Have a good one you lot, and I'll see you later.